The night the city slept, the woman who once ruled it sat alone on a cold basement floor. Power can crumble quietly. Sometimes all it takes is one signature and one betrayal. No one knew that the CEO everyone feared was now hiding in the same building she once owned. Isla Hashmi had never imagined she'd become invisible in the very empire she built. For years, her presence commanded rooms, her heels clicking like warning shots, her voice crisp, her ambition fierce enough to intimidate men twice her age. She was known as the Ice Queen CEO, the woman who rose from a two-room house in Gulshan to running one of Karachi's fastest-growing tech firms. But on this night, she wasn't a CEO. She wasn't a leader. She wasn't even someone with a home. She was simply lost. The scandal hit like a collapsing building, loud, sudden, impossible to outrun. Her trusted CFO of 7 years, a man who smiled in every board photo beside her, siphoned millions from the company's accounts. He framed it like a joint decision. He forged her digital signatures. He disappeared just hours before the media storm began. Isla had tried to fight back, but the board panicked. Investors threatened to pull out. Lawyers advised silence. And the public? They tore her apart with the same enthusiasm they once used to praise her. Within 2 weeks, Isla's shares were frozen. Her accounts seized. Her reputation shattered. The people who once rushed to open doors for her now avoided eye contact. And tonight was the final blow. The final foreclosure notice arrived at midnight. The penthouse she worked her whole life for gone. The building security didn't even let her stay till morning. They apologized, but rules were rules. At 3 a.m., in a deserted street lit only by flickering street lamps, Isla found herself walking with nothing but a handbag and a file of legal documents she could no longer bear to look at. She passed the old office building, the one she had lost in the takeover, and stopped.
She didn't know why.
Maybe she wanted to see it one last time. Maybe she wanted to confirm the world she built truly no longer belonged to her. But mostly she was tired. So tired that when the guard glanced at her sympathetically and whispered, "Madam, you can sit inside for a while if you want, no one will notice," she nodded without a word. And that's how she ended up in the basement, sitting on the cold floor, back against the wall, legs drawn close, staring at nothing. The air smelled of detergent and metal pipes. The buzzing of old fluorescent lights echoed in the emptiness. Her hair was messy for the first time in years, her blazer wrinkled, her makeup smudged. But she didn't care. Her phone buzzed with messages, journalists, lawyers, people demanding statements. Isla turned it face down. She had no energy left to defend herself. For the first time in her life, Isla Hashmi, the woman who conquered poverty, sexism, and corporate politics, felt utterly powerless. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Time blurred. Then she heard it, whispers, giggles, and small footsteps. 2 tiny figures peeked around the corner of the hallway. At first, Isla thought she was imagining things, her mind conjuring hallucinations from exhaustion. But they were real. 2 little girls, identical as moonlit reflections, wearing oversized school uniforms still dusty with chalk. Their hair was tied in uneven ponytails. Their eyes were bright, curious, innocent. And both were holding mops taller than they were. The twins froze when they saw her. "Didi," one whispered to the other. "Why is the auntie sitting on the floor?" "I think she's hurt," the other replied. Isla blinked. Had anyone spoken to her without hostility in weeks? She straightened slightly, trying to look composed, but even the effort felt heavy. "I'm fine," she said softly, her voice rough from hours of silence. "You don't look fine," the bolder twin said. "You look like when Papa burns his hand and pretends it doesn't hurt." Isla's lips trembled, not quite a smile, not quite tears. The second girl stepped closer. "Do you want water, auntie?" Isla opened her mouth. To say no, to avoid inconveniencing strangers, to protect her pride, but her throat was dry, and for the first time in days, someone cared enough to ask. She nodded. Both girls jolted into action, running off with tiny, determined footsteps. Seconds later, they returned with a cup of water and a half packet of biscuits. "For you," they chorused. Isla stared at the offering. No investors had stayed. No board members had supported her. No friends had shown up. But two little girls she had never met were giving her the first kindness she'd received in months. She took the cup with trembling hands. "Thank you," Isla whispered, words she rarely used, but tonight they cracked her voice open. The girls smiled, wide, bright, pure. And without knowing it, in that dim basement, in the quietest hour of the night, two janitors' daughters had just changed the direction of her shattered life. Sometimes the people we overlook are the ones sent to save us. The CEO, who once commanded thousands, was about to be rescued by a man she barely remembered. Kindness often arrives quietly, on worn shoes, with a humble smile, and two daughters clinging to each side. The twins' footsteps faded before Isla even realized she was holding her breath. She sipped the water slowly, feeling the coolness spread through a throat that had felt burnt for days. The biscuits were stale, but they tasted like comfort, like something human after weeks of bitterness. She didn't know how long she sat there before more footsteps echoed down the basement hallway, heavier, hurried, almost panicked. A man appeared at the end of the corridor, wearing an old gray uniform and carrying a mop bucket. His expression shifted quickly, from annoyance to confusion, then to shock as he saw the girls beside her. "Amina! Alina," he scolded softly. "Kidney dofabola high. Don't run off like that. I told you to wait outside the storage room." Both girls shrank a little, but pointed at Isla at the same time. "Papa," Ani was sad. "We gave her water. And biscuits." The man sighed, rubbing his forehead, until his eyes landed fully on Isla. His expression froze. "Madam." "Isla," he whispered. Isla stiffened. She hadn't heard her name said with familiarity in a long time. Not ma'am, not CEO, not Miss Hashmi. Just Isla. She lifted her chin slightly. "Hello, Raza." Raza, the janitor who had worked in her building for nearly 8 years. She remembered signing his employment papers. She remembered seeing him clean conference halls after late-night meetings. She remembered walking past him dozens, maybe hundreds, of times without ever really noticing him. But he noticed her. People like him always notice the people above them. He stepped closer, the metal bucket rattling as his hands trembled a little. "Madam, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be sitting on the floor like this. Are you okay? Is someone after you? Did something happen?" His concern felt so raw, so genuine, that Isla's throat tightened again. "I'm fine," she said automatically, then paused. No, she wasn't fine. Not even close. But she couldn't bring herself to admit it. Raza looked at her. The expensive blazer, the smudged mascara, the exhaustion she failed to hide, and he understood more than she said. He glanced at his daughters, then back at her. "Aap yahan baithai mat," he said gently. "Basement thanda hoda hai. Come to the janitor's room. It's small, but it's warm." Isla hesitated. Pride pricked her like needles. Every instinct told her to say no. She was a CEO, well, she used to be. Once upon a time, she wouldn't have stepped foot in the janitor's room even by accident. But tonight, she had nowhere else to go. "Please," Raza added softly, seeing her struggle. "At least have some tea. My daughters will not sleep unless they know you're okay." Isla looked down at the twins, whose eyes were wide and hopeful. And something inside her finally cracked. She nodded. Raza's relief was visible. He guided her down the hallway, his daughters trailing behind like two shadows of joy and innocence. The janitor's break room was small, cramped, and old, peeling paint, a flickering bulb, and mismatched chairs, but it was warm. And right now, warmth was a luxury. "Sit, madam," Raza said, quickly clearing a chair for her. "I'll make chai." Isla sat slowly, feeling strangely fragile, as if one wrong move might shatter her entirely. The twins climbed onto a box nearby, swinging their legs and whispering to each other while watching her with curious eyes. "You look tired," the braver twin said. Isla let out a breath that felt like surrender. "I am." "Papa says being tired is okay," the other whispered. "It means you tried very hard." Isla's eyes softened in a way she hadn't allowed in months. While Raza prepared tea, he kept glancing at her, worried, protective, unsure if he was overstepping. When he finally placed the steaming cup before her, he sat across the room, hands clasped. "Madam," he began carefully, "I heard about the news. People here talk." Isla tensed. She expected judgment, pity, or curiosity. But Raza simply shook his head. "I don't believe any of it," he said firmly. "You gave work to hundreds of people. You always made sure the staff got salaries on time, even during Eid. A person who takes care of others like that doesn't suddenly become a criminal." Isla blinked. No board member had defended her. No investor had believed her. No colleague had supported her. But the janitor did. "Thank you," she whispered. Raza nodded once, simple, honest. "You're a good woman, madam. A strong one. This phase will pass." The twins chimed in. "And we'll help you. Always." Isla looked at this tiny, unexpected circle of support, a janitor and his two daughters offering more loyalty than the entire corporate world ever had. And for the first time since her empire crumbled, she didn't feel completely alone. Second chances don't always come wrapped in luxury. Sometimes they arrive in a dusty storage room. The CEO, who once planned billion-rupee strategies, was now sketching ideas on a broken desk. Rock bottom isn't the end. Sometimes it's the door to the life you were meant to build. Isla never imagined her life would circle back to the one place she thought she had outgrown, the storage room of her old office building. Yet here she was, sitting at a rusty metal desk with a flickering bulb above her, surrounded by cardboard boxes and cleaning supplies. And strangely, it didn't feel awful. It felt quiet, human, real. After the long night in the janitor's room, Raza insisted she rest for a few hours. The twins insisted even harder. By morning, Isla woke to the smell of chai and the sound of the girls whispering as quietly as their excitement allowed. "Auntie is awake." "No, don't shout." Papa said let her rest. When Isla stepped out, she found Raza already sweeping the hallway. He looked embarrassed, as if he hadn't expected her to still be there. "You didn't have to stay, madam," he said. "I just didn't want you wandering alone at night." She nodded, and surprised even herself with what she said next. "Do you have a quiet place I can sit for a while?" Raza blinked, unsure. Then he gestured toward the storage room. "It's dusty, but it's empty most of the time. You can use it. I'll clean it first." Before she could protest, he was already pulling out brooms, while the twins brought old cloths and wiped the desk as if preparing it for royalty. By the time they finished, Isla had a small, imperfect workspace, but a space nonetheless. She sat down, fingers hovering over the borrowed laptop Raza managed to arrange from his cousin's electronics stall. The device was old and slow, but it hummed like an invitation. A blank document glowed on the screen. For the first time since losing everything, Isla asked herself, "What now?" She used to plan 5-year strategies without hesitation. But now? She couldn't even plan tomorrow. She rubbed her forehead, frustration rising, until she noticed the twins standing at the doorway, watching her with the kind of expectation that makes giving up feel impossible. "What are you doing, Auntie?" Amina asked. "Trying to find a way to start again," Isla admitted. "What do you want to start?" Alina chimed in eagerly. Isla hesitated. The question was simple, but the answer was everything. "I want to open something small," she said slowly. "Maybe a consultancy. Help small businesses with planning, structure, digital systems." She paused. "But I don't know if anyone will trust me now." Both girls scrunched their noses, deeply offended. "But we trust you," Amina declared. "And Papa trusts you," Alina added. Isla actually smiled. "Your children. Your trust is kind, but it won't pay rent." The twins exchanged glances, the kind twins share when they're about to do something conspiratorial. "Wait here. Don't move." They dashed off before Isla could ask what they were planning. When they returned, they carried crayons, bits of paper, and a cracked plastic clipboard. They plopped everything on the desk triumphantly. "We're helping you." Isla leaned back, amused. "Helping me with what?" "With your business." Amina said, as if it were obvious. "We're making your logo. Alina added proudly. Isla stared, unsure whether to laugh or cry. But the twins were already drawing, two small heads bent over white paper, tongues poking out in concentration, crayons scratching loudly. When they finished, they held it up with shining eyes. "Auntie, look." The drawing was childish, uneven, and utterly heartfelt. Two little girls holding a broken light bulb, fixed together, with a small star shining above it. "What is this?" Isla asked softly. "It's your new company," Amina declared. "You fix things," Alina explained. "And we fix things too. So we made this for you." Isla looked at the messy drawing, lines crossing, colors uneven, the light bulb crooked, and she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Purpose. Hope. A beginning. The twins leaned in. "Do you like it?" Isla swallowed hard. "I love it." She pinned the drawing on the wall above the desk. Her first logo. Her first step toward rebuilding. When Raza came in later with lunch, he stared at the drawing, then at her. "Madam, you really want to start again? From here?" Isla nodded, a quiet determination settling into her bones. Raza took a long breath. "Then let me help." Isla looked up, surprised. "You've already helped more than you should." "No," Raza said firmly. "This time, I want to help properly. You're a smart woman, madam. You can rebuild anything. You just need someone to believe in you again." His words landed deeper than he knew. The janitor, she once barely noticed, was offering her the thing she needed most. A second chance. And Isla, for the first time since falling, finally reached out and took it. Great empires can collapse in minutes, yet some rebirths begin with a single act of kindness. She once signed billion-rupee contracts. Now she waited for her first small client. But destiny was already moving toward her. Sometimes success returns through ordinary doors: shopkeepers, tailors, tea vendors, people the corporate world forgets. The next few weeks were nothing like the life Isla had once known. Gone were the long boardroom tables, the framed awards, the assistants buzzing around her with reports. Instead, she worked in a storage room with peeling paint and a borrowed laptop that hummed like it had asthma. But it didn't matter. For the first time in months, Isla was building something that felt real. She started by drafting service packages, simple consultations for small vendors, market stall owners, and struggling home businesses. She knew something the corporate world often forgot. The smallest businesses had the biggest hearts and the most potential. But she expected slow progress. No one rebuilds overnight. Yet fate had other plans. A chance encounter. One evening, while Isla took a break to stretch her aching back, the twins dragged in a guest, a short, elderly man with a dusty cap and a confused expression. "Auntie," Amina announced, "this is Chacha Rashid. He says his shop isn't doing well," Alina added. "We told him you fix things." Isla blinked. "You brought me a client?" The twins nodded proudly. Rashid Chacha looked embarrassed. "Beatty," the girls insisted. "I run a small hardware store in Sadar. Sales are slow. My sons say I should close it, but it was my father's shop. I don't want to." Something about his trembling voice struck Isla deeply. She invited him to sit, listened patiently, took notes, and after an hour of discussion, offered him a 5-step plan to modernize his shop on a tiny budget. Rashid Chacha left smiling like a man who finally saw sunrise after a long night. 3 days later, he returned, with tears in his eyes and a box of mithai. "Beatty," he said, voice cracking, "your idea worked. Customers are coming again. My sons apologized. You saved my shop." Isla stared at him, stunned. Her first client. Her first success. The twins cheered so loudly the security guard came to check if anyone was injured. Word spread faster than she expected. By the end of the month, Isla had 7 clients. Then 11. Then 20. Small businesses trusted her, not because of her corporate past, but because she listened, cared, and treated them like equals. For the first time, her reputation wasn't built on fear. It was built on humanity, the unexpected spark. One afternoon, while Isla typed an invoice, Raza walked in holding a printout. "Madam." I think you should see this. Isla frowned. What is it? He handed her the paper. It was a social media post. A picture of Isla in the storage room, sitting at the dusty desk, the twins' crayon logo pinned proudly behind her. Captioned, "Not all heroes wear suits. Some rebuild with crayons and courage." Posted by Amina and Alina. Isla nearly choked. They posted this? Raza groaned. I told them not to put pictures online without asking, but they... Before he could finish, Isla shook her head. No, this might be the best thing they've ever done. The post had already gone semi-viral. Women entrepreneurs, small shop owners, and struggling freelancers commented by the dozens. I need help with my startup. Where can I book an appointment? A woman rebuilding from scratch? Respect. Isla's inbox exploded. Within a week, she had more work than one person could handle. So, she hired 2 assistants, women from lower-income backgrounds who desperately needed jobs but had been rejected elsewhere. Her tiny consultancy was now a real, breathing company. Raza watched proudly, often helping with errands or fixing broken chairs in the storage room. The twins brought snacks, colored signs, and motivational doodles that covered the walls. No boardroom had ever felt this warm. The turning point. 3 months later, Isla sat at a cafe meeting a potential client, a woman who ran a local clothing boutique. The discussion went smoothly, and the woman signed a 6-month contract. But just as she was leaving, the woman said, "By the way, do you know why I contacted you?" Isla shook her head. "My younger daughter showed me a drawing online. 2 little girls holding a broken bulb." She smiled. "Your logo," it felt honest, like it came from the heart. Isla exhaled slowly, overwhelmed. The twins. Their crayons. Their innocent belief. That logo, imperfect and childlike, was changing lives. Becoming someone new. Months passed. Clients tripled. Revenues stabilized. Isla hired more staff, trained them herself, and created a working culture she never had at her old company, one built on respect, empathy, and integrity. She didn't chase investors. She didn't chase headlines. She didn't chase power. She chased meaning. And somewhere in the process, she healed. One evening, as she packed up her laptop, the twins barged into the storage room carrying a cake so lopsided it looked like a landslide. "Auntie Isla," they shouted. "Congratulations." "For what?" she laughed. "For your 100th client." Isla froze. 100. She had rebuilt her career, her identity, and her spirit from a basement storage room. She knelt, wrapped the girls in her arms, and whispered, "You too gave me my life back."
And it was true.
Her rise didn't come from investors or money or strategy. It came from kindness, from innocence, from 2 little girls who believed in her when no one else did. She rebuilt her career, but destiny wasn't done rebuilding her heart. Sometimes the people who save you aren't partners or heroes, but a father with tired eyes and 2 little girls with 2 big hearts. The woman who once had everything was about to gain something far more precious than power. Isla always believed she understood life. She thought success was numbers, structure, discipline, strategy. But now, success sounded like children laughing in a hallway and smelled like chai brewed on a small stove outside a janitor's room. Her consultancy was thriving. Her clients adored her. Her small team had grown into a respectable business. Yet, no matter how busy her days became, every evening she returned to the same basement, drawings on the wall, tiny shoes scattered near the door, and the comforting presence of the man who had unknowingly held her heart together while she rebuilt her life.
Raza.
He remained as humble as the day she met him. He still swept the halls, still smiled quietly, still blushed whenever Isla thanked him. But there was something new between them, something neither dared name, yet both felt deeply. It started small. He would bring her chai, without asking. She would pack extra lunch and pretend she made too much. He would fix her chair. She would fix his resume. He would walk her outside when she worked too late. She would wait for him when his shift ran long. The twins, of course, noticed before anyone else. Papa likes Auntie Isla. One evening, Isla was reviewing documents when Alina skipped in, cheeks puffed with mischief. "Auntie," she whispered loudly. "Papa likes you." Isla nearly choked on her tea. "Dabujwa." Amina appeared behind her sister, nodding seriously. "He looks at you like you're Eid." "Amina!" Raza shouted from the hallway, his ears turning crimson. The girls giggled and ran away. Isla tried to focus on her documents again, but her cheeks burned warmly. She told herself it was silly. She was rebuilding her life. Romance was a luxury she didn't have time for. Besides, Raza was kind, grounded, humble.
She was complicated.
Broken in places he didn't deserve to be burdened by. But every evening, when she saw him waiting by the door to make sure she reached home safely, her heart argued otherwise. The day her past returned. Just when Isla thought her new life was stable, the past knocked loudly. A major news channel aired a special investigation. Her former CFO, missing for months, was found in Dubai, arrested for financial fraud. His confession broadcasted everywhere. Isla Hashmi had no part in it. "I forged everything." The world that once condemned her now praised her. Companies that abandoned her reached out again. Old colleagues sent apologies. And her former company's new board chairman requested a meeting. "Madam Hashmi," he said politely, "we want you back." Isla felt the old world tugging at her. The suits, the power, the influence, the prestige she once lived for. But as she sat across from polished executives in a glossy office, she felt nothing. No thrill, no pride, just emptiness. She thanked them and left. When she returned to the storage room that evening, Raza looked worried. "All okay, madam?" Isla stared at the dusty walls, the crooked artwork, the twins' crayon logo, and the warmth of the small space that had saved her sanity. "Yes," she said softly. "In fact, everything is perfect." The night, everything changed. It was late, later than usual, when Isla finished her last client call. The twins were asleep on a makeshift blanket near her desk. Raza was sitting outside the door, mending a broken mop handle. Isla walked out, leaned against the wall, and watched him in silence. "You know," she said, "you've helped me in ways I can never repay." Raza looked up, startled. "Madam, please. I didn't do anything special. You gave me a place to breathe when the world suffocated me." He set the mop down gently. "Anyone would have." She shook her head.
"No.
"Not anyone.
Just you."
Their eyes met, and this time, neither looked away. The air felt different, thick with words unspoken. "Isla," he whispered, abandoning the respectful "madam" he clung to for months. "I am a simple man. My life is small. I don't know what I can offer someone like you." She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "You gave me more than money or status could. You gave me kindness. You gave me your daughter's laughter. You gave me hope." Raza swallowed hard. "You deserve someone better." Isla smiled, the soft, gentle kind she rarely showed anyone. "I found someone right." He didn't move.
Couldn't.
So she took his hands, rough, tired, honest hands, and held them firmly. "I rebuilt my life," she whispered. "Now let me build a future." At that moment, Amina and Alina stirred awake. They sat up, saw the scene, and shrieked. "Papa is holding Ani's hands. We told you. They like each other." Raza covered his face. Isla laughed, really laughed for the first time in years. And just like that, the basement filled with joy. A new beginning. Months later, Isla shifted her consultancy into a proper office. Not a skyscraper, something modest, warm, and full of life. Raza became her operations manager. The twins became the honorary creative directors, their crayon logo now part of the official brand. Isla finally allowed herself happiness. One evening, as the sun set beautifully across Karachi, Isla stood with Raza and whispered, "You and your daughters didn't just change my life. You gave me a family." And the man who once swept floors smiled at the woman who once owned the city, because together, they were building something stronger than any empire. A home.